And the people most forgotten in all of this renewable transition typically are the farmers who, don't forget, provide our food. So they're kind of important. Classic example of how our farming communities are being forgotten is found in the way the Bureau of Meteorology is behaving. You'll remember in the news last week it was revealed the BOM had spent $96 million on a facelift for their website. Ironically, the $96 million facelift made the website even more difficult to use than before they'd spent all of that money. But here's the real kicker. Having spent $96 million on a website, the Bureau of Meteorology now claims they don't have any money to supply radars for farmers in the Eyre Peninsula, South Australia. Now, to give you a perspective on how important this little section of agricultural land is, the Eyre Peninsula produced this is in 2021, so a few years ago, but they were responsible for $801 million worth of agricultural output. Most of that exports, 40% of South Australia's wheat, 24% of South Australia's barley, 22% of South Australia's oats, as well as lamb, pork, beef. It's a very rich, a very highly productive piece of agricultural real estate, but they can't get radar coverage. They're relying on the radar in Adelaide to warn them about storms, hail, even just what the rainfall is going to be, which means they get practically no rainfall at all. We've got a map here that Caleb found earlier that shows you where radars are located around the country, the coverage they provide. And if you have a look down at the bottom of the screen there, you'll see that little tip about the middle of the continent, which is where the Eyre Peninsula is, and you can see no radar coverage there at all. Now, Brad Perry from the Grain Producers South Australia industry body has told the local newspapers growers on the Eyre Peninsula are being told to rely on data from Adelaide and Ceduna radars, which are hundreds of kilometres away. That's not good enough for safety, it's not good enough for precision farming, and it's certainly not good enough for a region that contributes billions of dollars to the state's economy. It's like our Bureau of Meteorology and our Department of Environment and the government themselves have become so obsessed with climate change, they've forgotten their primary role and responsibility, which is to look after the ordinary needs of Australians, particularly our farmers, one of which would be give them fair warning when a storm is coming, or let them know rainfall patterns so they know when to plant, when to harvest.
And I mean, if we can get that map back up of where all the radars are. I mean, how would you like to be a farmer on the Eyre Peninsula, which, as you said, James, is one of the most fertile grounds for agriculture in South Australia, all up and down the east coast, almost the entirety of Victoria, most of New South Wales, most of Queensland, you can get radar. And if you just happen to be in that little bit of South Australia there, you are absolutely stuffed. The rest of the state that's not covered has very few people in it. But it's agricultural land. Of course they need radar. And then they've been told when they ask for it by the Bureau of Meteorology that they don't have any money. It's because they just spent that $96.5 million on the website, I assume. But I tried to find out, they want a Doppler radar, which is, the top of the tree stuff. And they, from what I can work out, cost about $8 million each to buy and install. That's based on numbers. They put 3 new ones in New South Wales 5 years ago. And that was about $24.5 million for those 3. So roughly $8 million each. So you divide 96.5 by 8. I mean, we could have put in nearly a dozen of these bloody things and covered much more of the country, and instead we got some lousy website. Well done, Bureau of Meteorology. What is your actual job if it's not to provide weather coverage to people who need it?
Well, the BOM can't tell you the weather, but they can tell you the Indigenous names of the places where they can't provide the weather details. So that's the point.
I wouldn't have an issue if the website was actually good, but it's so bad. Initially, I thought, oh, well, the previous website was really bad. It clearly hadn't been updated in like 20 years. But the more I go on to use the BOM website, the more annoying it gets. You can't find anything. It's impossible to navigate. We just need to move back to the original website. And also, this is just a triumph of optics over actually looking after people.